The Army National Guard. Let me see a show of hands. How many are aware perfectly as to how the National Guard is used in this country? Is it a state militia? Is it under control of the federal government? If not, how does it come under control of the federal government? Why was the National Guard sent to fight in Vietnam? I've always had a whole bunch of questions like that, and I don't have any answers. But the reason I bring it up, the Pentagon yesterday said it would respond to the Christian fascist governor of Oklahoma after he said that the National Guard in that state would not follow the orders of the Defense Department, that order being that troops be vaccinated against COVID-19. Now, having not served in the military, I don't know what constitutes an unlawful or illegal order, one that doesn't necessarily have to be obeyed, or what constitutes rebellion or mutiny within the troops when a lawful order is issued and the troops say, no, we're not going to do it. Need a little help here. Anyway, the Defense Department said it was aware of this memo that was issued this week by the Oklahoma National Guard. By this week, I mean last week, by the Oklahoma National Guard, a memo that came from the recently installed Adjutant General, the commander in charge of the Oklahoma National Guard. And that memo said that the organization would not enforce the Defense Department's vaccine mandate for its troops. See, what happened in August, the U.S. military service members were ordered by the Pentagon to get fully vaccinated against COVID-19. Doesn't that make sense? Yes, it certainly does. But the news in Oklahoma, this comes as there are a bunch of these Republican-led states led by Christian fascists and other groups, who filed suit to stop the Biden administration's vaccine requirement for federal contractors, which I suppose is what the National Guardsman is. And a federal appeals court on Friday reaffirmed an earlier decision to freeze a separate vaccine mandate that private businesses employing more than 100 workers, that they require vaccinations also, or impose testing guidelines for those not vaccinated. All of this is being done to try to stop a pandemic that has killed, we are approaching 800,000 Americans dead. Millions dead around the planet. And yet this mad shit by these Christian fascists continued. Now it's infested and infiltrated into the military. The two rules, the ones for the military being vaccinated and businesses employing more than 100 workers being vaccinated, those two rules were, or I should say are, slated to go into effect in January. And the two rules cover about 100 million Americans, not quite a third of Americans. Now, a Pentagon spokesman, John Kirby, said in a statement to CNN, quote, "We are aware of the memo issued by the Oklahoma Adjutant General regarding COVID vaccination for guardsmen and the governor's letter requesting exemption. We will respond to the governor appropriately. That said," he goes on, "Secretary Lloyd Austin, Secretary of the Army, I guess, or the head of the Defense Department would be more like it. Secretary Austin believes that a vaccinated force is a more ready force. And that's why he, Austin, has ordered mandatory vaccines for the total force. And that includes our National Guard, who contribute significantly to national missions at home and abroad," end quote. So there's the official statement from the Pentagon. It sounds to me like they're not exactly sure what the hell to do with this situation now. There was a memo to Oklahoma National Guard members that was issued last Thursday, and CNN obtained it. And in that memo, the Army Brigadier General, who is Thomas Mancino, he said the Oklahoma National Guard has rejected. Apparently he's in charge of the Oklahoma National Guard. And he says the Oklahoma National Guard has rejected the Defense Department's requirement that all service members receive the vaccine. And he will allow personnel to opt out of the policy without repercussions. And according to the memo, however, if they are federally mobilized, members then must be vaccinated. So it appears that the only way that National Guard's members who are refusing to do this can be vaccinated is if they are called up by the federal government and federalized. Then they can be vaccinated. Can somebody please, before I lose my shit completely, explain to me what's going on? You know what this sounds like to me? It sounds like the refusal of military units to follow directives coming from the Pentagon. And if that is not the beginning of insurrection or the failure to yield, failure to obey lawful orders in the military, then what are we heading towards now? What are these Christian fascist son of a bitches cooked up now? Good God. Earlier this month, apparently, the Republican Christian fascist governor of Oklahoma, some shithead named Kevin Stitt, sent a letter to Secretary Austin requesting that COVID-19 vaccine mandates be suspended for members of Oklahoma's National Guard. The letter said this, in part, quote, "We estimate that over 800 Oklahoma Guardsmen have not and do not plan on receiving the COVID-19 vaccine. This constitutes 10% of Oklahoma's overall force. It is irresponsible for the federal government to place mandatory vaccine obligations on Oklahoma National Guardsmen who could potentially limit the number of individuals that I can call upon to assist the state during an emergency," end quote. So you see the card that this Christian fascist governor is playing. If you order my troops, over which you have no authority because they're not federalized, but if you order my troops to become vaccinated and they refuse, and in that refusal they are then disobeying a lawful order and cannot be used as National Guard, you are cutting into the defense force that I have for the state of Oklahoma. Brilliant. Just brilliant. Now, to take this further, earlier this week, the governor, the Christian fascist governor, Stitt, named Mancino, he's the Brigadier General, Thomas Mancino, to be Adjutant General for Oklahoma and Commander of the Oklahoma Army and Air National Guard. Mancino's appointment requires confirmation by the Oklahoma State Senate. No problem there. The former Adjutant General, Mike Thompson, who was abruptly relieved of his command last week, was a supporter of the COVID-19 vaccine and received a booster shot himself last month. So the head of Oklahoma National Guard has been fired because he went along with common sense science, and his replacement is an asshole who refuses common sense science and says, no, we're not going to get everybody vaccinated. Let the fuckers get infected and die. They're just soldiers. We don't care about soldiers. We have millions of soldiers. That's what's being said. Now, earlier this year, this filthy governor of Oklahoma signed into law SB 658, which prevents school boards from mandating masks or vaccinations, and now the military in the state of Oklahoma. You know, I've asked this over and over. It just eats at my thought processes. What is it about these people that they think they are accomplishing in the face of a brutally murderous pandemic by ordering people not to take preventive measures? Oh my God. Back in Austin, the Secretary of Defense, Austin, said in a memo that he was directing the military department services to, quote, immediately begin full vaccination, end quote, of all armed forces members or those in the ready reserve, including the National Guard, who are not yet fully vaccinated. And Austin said, quote, after careful consideration with medical experts and military leadership, and with the support of the president, I have determined that mandatory vaccination against coronavirus disease 2019 or COVID-19 is necessary to protect the force and defend the American people. That's it. And yet the Christian fascists are saying no. No, we're not going to do it. I'm flummoxed. I can't believe that I am living now in this kind of mess. I just can't. Can you? Does this seem right to you? Hi, Truth Seekers. Mike Malloy here. As you know, we've switched formats and are now broadcast exclusively on the Progressive Voices Network. So that means you get fewer program interruptions, no corporate commercials, and lots of profanity. But our format change also means some of our radio listeners no longer hear the program. It's been a while since I mentioned our podcasts, so you may have forgotten that there is a way to listen to this program anytime you need a good dose of screaming. Visit MikeMalloy.com and subscribe to our podcasts. As a podcast subscriber, you can download the program to your mobile device and take me with you wherever you go. And if you have a friend who needs a dose of truth-seeking, you can give a gift subscription as well. That's MikeMalloy.com, and never miss a minute of the uncensored fun and frivolity.